Peace, everyone. As you come in, just confirm with me that you can hear me and see me. Drop a confirmation in the chat, please. I want to make sure our tech is straight before we continue. Welcome everyone. We're live on 3 platforms tonight. We are live on YouTube, we are live on LinkedIn, and we are live on X. So we welcome you, regardless of what platform you're joining us from. As you come in, drop a comment in the chat. Let us know where you're from. All right, thank you. We can hear me and see me. Okay, cool. Thank you. I'm always hesitant to confirm the technology before we get too far into the meeting. Let's see who we have. So I'm going to give it just a couple minutes before I jump in. For the time being, if anyone's just now joining, drop a comment. Let us know where you're checking in from. You might have saw the description of today's meeting. I wanted to discuss 2 business models today, the generalist and the specialist business models. So we're going to jump into that in 3 minutes. We're going to give it 3 minutes before we start. So who do we have? Who do we have on the call tonight? Latanya H. Peace, Latanya. Latanya is from Oakland, California. Peace, Latanya. Where else are we coming from? Where else do we have viewers from? Let's see here. All right. So welcome, Tanya. The plan for today is I've got 4 slides I want to share. It won't be too long. I want to be concise. We're going to talk about these 4 slides. We're going to talk about a video I saw on YouTube today. It deals with the topic at hand. We're going to look up a few things on Grok AI. Maybe we'll take some comments and questions or some Q&A. And that's it, really. I'm going to try to keep this meeting to 1 hour or less today. So my plan is 1 hour or less every time. You're busy, I'm busy. I want to get straight to the point. So that's the general outline for today. 4 slides. We're going to talk about them, have some discussion on them. I'm going to share a YouTube video I saw, and we're going to incorporate some AI. So that's the general plan today. All right, so you saw the description of today's meeting. The generalists and the specialists. So they have some differences. On myself and my former generalist. So I'm going to tell a little about my personal transition a little later. So I wanted to talk about those 2 business models today, the generalist business model and the specialist business model. But we're going to give it 1 more minute, then we'll jump in. For anyone just now joining, let us know where you're checking in from. What city, what state, what country, before we start. Otherwise, we'll jump right in. It's 5 after the hour, so let's get right to it. I've got 4 slides I want to share. We're going to keep things general for the time. All right, let me share my screen here. All right, so let's jump right into it. I wanted to discuss these two business models today: the generalist versus the specialist. Hopefully, you can see that screen. Just drop a confirmation in the chat that you can see these slides. I always want to make sure I share correctly before I get too far and then realize that I'm not sharing correctly. So someone just drop a confirmation in the chat that you can see this slide. It says business models, the generalist versus the specialist. My name is Errol Seemangal, and this is in partnership with the Black Business School. Can you see me in here? Can you see the screen? Can you hear me? Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So this is what today's meeting is about. I wanted to discuss these two models. I myself am now a specialist. So I've graduated from being a generalist. Now I am a specialist. So let's get right to it. Actually, you know what? Before we get into that first slide, for everyone on the call today, drop in the chat. I want to ask everyone on the chat, are you a generalist? Do you consider yourself a generalist, or do you consider you a specialist? Which one are you? Are you a generalist or are you a specialist? I'm interested in seeing who we have on the call today. Are you a generalist or are you specialist? If you're a specialist, drop your area of specialty in the chat. If you're a generalist, say generalist. If you're a specialist, say specialist. Let us know who we have. I want to see what kind of people we're dealing with here. I want to see who we're dealing with. All right, I don't see any comments in the chat, so I'm just going to jump right into it. All right, let's talk about some of the differences between these two business models. Let's get right to the first slide here. Okay, so let's talk about the generalist first. Hopefully you can see that slide. The generalist has general skills. They're involved in many business ventures. They may be stretched too thin. And generally speaking, they have a lower income. All right, on the right, we have the specialist. Okay, the specialist has very specialized skills. They specialize in one business venture. They're very concentrated, and generally speaking, they have a higher income. Okay, so that's some key differences between the generalist and the specialist. One person has general skills, the other person has specialized skills. One person is involved in many business ventures, the other is involved in just one business venture. The generalist is stretched very thin. The specialist is very focused. The generalist, generally speaking, has lower income. On the other hand, the specialist has higher income when compared to the generalist. All right, so these are some key differences between the generalist and the specialist. All right, any comments or questions on this? Slide? Drop them in the chat. Curious to hear your thoughts. Drop your thoughts, your comments, your questions in the chat. Are you a generalist or are you a specialist? Are you involved in many business ventures? Are you involved in just one business venture? Do you have general skills? Do you have specialized skills? Do you feel stretched too thin, or are you very concentrated? Are you a generalist or are you a specialist? All right, so I've got that last point on each side. On the generalist side, I have the lower income, and the specialist side, I have the higher income. But that's just my opinion. Who do you think has higher income? Who do you think has higher income, the generalist or the specialist? We're going to ask AI that exact question in a minute. We're going to ask Grok AI that exact question, and we're going to see what AI has to say. Who do you think has a higher income, the generalist or the specialist? All right, let's see here. Okay, so we got a couple comments in the chat. Latanya H says she is a generalist. Okay, Latanya says she's a generalist. So, Latanya, question for you. Are you involved in many business ventures? Do you feel stretched too thin? Are you trying to do too much all at once? Do you feel that way? Let's see who else we have here. Jen S says she is a specialist. Okay. Oh, well, maybe she was asking. Maybe she was answering the question I had earlier. Who do you feel has the higher income, the generalist or the specialist? And then Latanya says specialist. So we're going to ask AI who AI feel has the highest income out of the two. But this is my quick summary on each of them. Okay, someone has general skills versus specialized skills. One person is involved in many business ventures while the other has more focus. Sometimes the generalist can be stretched way too thin. On the other hand, the specialist is very concentrated on one thing. And on the bottom, lower income versus higher income. All right, so this is a quick outline of each model. I wanted to let me switch to the next slide here. I wanted to talk about an example. Okay, I want to talk about a healthcare example. We're going to ask AI further examples shortly. I wanted to share my personal transition story from being a generalist to a specialist, and then we're going to ask AI to help us with some lookups. Okay, so let's contrast both business models. Let's think about the healthcare industry. All right, let's think about the healthcare industry. If you go to the general doctor, it's one price. If you go to the specialist doctor, it's a whole different price. Who commands a higher? Who do you have to pay more? Who commands a higher salary? The general doctor or the specialist doctor? Drop that answer in the chat. Who commands a higher price tag? The general doctor or the specialist doctor? Who do you think you have to pay more? The general doctor or the specialist? All right, so Latanya says the specialist doctor. All right, anyone agree? Anyone disagree? Big pharma, you're going to have to pay either way. You go to the general doctor, you're going to have to pay. You go to the specialist doctor, you're going to have to pay. Who do you have to pay more? Which doctor do you have to pay more? Latanya says the specialist. I believe it's a specialist as well. I believe it's a specialist. All right, we're going to ask AI shortly all these questions. All right, but I believe it's the specialist doctor, okay? So why is it the specialist doctor? Because he has a more focused skill set than the general doctor. All right, so that's my belief. That's my thesis. You will have to pay the specialist doctor more than you pay the general doctor. All right, so that's the example, the healthcare example. I wanted to talk about my personal transition story from once being a generalist to a specialist to now being a specialist. Back in the day, I thought back to all the business ventures I was involved in. Okay, I realized I was doing way too much all at once. Okay, I was trying to do way too much all at once. It was no surprise that I was burnt out. It was no surprise I was overstressed. It was no surprise I was overworked. It was no surprise I was underslept. Okay. I was trying to do 7 things all simultaneously. No surprise I was mediocre at best at all 7 ventures. Okay. I'll give you an example. I'll give you several examples of what I was trying to do all at once. Okay. Tell me if you can relate to this. Tell me if you can relate to this. One thing I was trying to do was work the day job. Okay. I was trying to work the day job. Simultaneously, I was trying to side hustle. Simultaneously, I was trying to grow my business, my consulting business. Simultaneously, I was trying to run real estate plays. Simultaneously, I was trying to run option plays. Simultaneously, I was trying to. That's how many. That's actually 6 ventures right there. So let's pause on 6 ventures. I was trying to run the day job. I was trying to side hustle. I was trying to grow my business, my consulting business. I was trying to run real estate plays. I was trying to run option plays. Okay, that's 5 things I was trying to do simultaneously. On top of sleeping 8 hours, on top of meal prepping, on top of working out every day. Okay, so I was trying to do 5 things. I was trying to excel at 5 things simultaneously. Okay, no surprise. I was mediocre at all 5 things. Okay, so at the time, I was a generalist. I was stretched way too thin. I was stretched way too thin. Okay, there was only 24 hours in the day. I couldn't do 7 things great every 24 hours. Okay, I was stretched way too thin. All right, no surprise. No surprise. I was broke. Okay, no surprise. I was broke. Okay, I was trying to do 7 business ventures. I was trying to run 7 business ventures simultaneously. No surprise. I was mediocre at all 7. No surprise. I was broke. I was still broke. Okay. All right. So in recent years, I became a specialist. Okay. So I transitioned from being a generalist to a specialist. Okay. I am a specialist in the options market. All right. So I put down 5 business ventures. I scaled back from 5 to 1. And now I consider myself a specialist. All right. So I'm only involved in 1 business venture. I'm very focused on that 1 business venture. And as a result, I have higher income than when I was. So think about that. I may work in the options market 1 hour a week. Contrast to that, when I was working 30 hours a day, I have a higher income working 1 hour a week than 30 hours a day in my previous life as a generalist. As a result, I have a higher income. So now I am a specialist. All right. So that's my personal transition from generalist to specialist. I was trying to do way too much all at once. I sucked at all 7 things. I scaled back, then I scaled up. All right. So I scaled back from 5 to 1. I excelled at 1 business venture. As a result, I have more time, I have better health, and I have higher income. And I have more time. All right. So that's my personal transition story from becoming a specialist from my previous life as a generalist. Can you relate? Can you relate to that? I talked to many of you on a personal level. I know you guys are juggling many things. You're juggling the day job. You're juggling the side hustle. You're juggling the business. You're trying to. You may be trying to run option plays. You may be trying to run real estate plays. You may be trying to do this. You may be trying to do that. And you're burnt out. You're stressed out. You're overworked. And chances are you're just breaking even. Chances are you're average at best at all 7 ventures. Can anyone relate to that? Can anyone relate to that? Can anyone relate to that? Does anyone feel like they're stretched too thin? Does anyone feel like they're doing too much? Drop a yes if that's you. Drop a yes in the chat if that's you. All right, we have a question in the chat. Let's check this question right here. This is a great question right here. Let's go to the queue. Let's go to the question right quick. Before we get to the AI lookups, we have a question from Dr. Flipmode3113. What did you need to start believing to become a specialist from a generalist? That's a good question. What did you need to believe? What did you need to start believing to become a specialist from a generalist? So I think what you're asking is how do you transition, right? How do you transition from becoming a specialist if you're a generalist? I believe that's what you're asking. Okay, yeah. So focus on one business venture. I'm going to actually get into the key takeaways from today's meeting in a little bit. But one thing you can do is calculate the profit margin on all your business ventures. Calculate the profit margin on your day job, on your side hustle, on your real estate, on your options, on your business. Calculate the profit margin on every business venture that you're involved in. Okay, so that's the first step. Calculate the profit margin on every business venture. Why? Because that'll tell you which business venture is most profitable and most efficient. Okay, so that's one way I transitioned from being a generalist to a specialist. Okay, so I calculated my profit margin on all my business ventures. I realized which one gave me the most profit and was most efficient. I scaled that one up. I cut everything else out. All right, I went hard in that one area. I eliminated everything else. Okay. All right, so that's one way we can transition from being a generalist to a specialist. Okay, I'm gonna share that slide shortly, talking about profit margin. If you need help with the profit margin, we can talk about it. But what you're gonna do is basically ask yourself which one of your business ventures is most profitable and most efficient. Go hard in that area. Eliminate everything else. Okay, you become a generalist in that area. And you can eliminate everything else. So that's my answer to that question. That's exactly what I did. Okay, I was trying to do way too much in 24 hours every day. I realized I sucked at all 7 business ventures. I sat myself down. I asked myself what was most profitable and most efficient. I went hard in that area. I eliminated everything else. So that was my personal transition story. So that's how I personally became a specialist from my previous days as a generalist. That's a great question. Yeah. Okay. So let me get back to the slide here. I want to ask the AI. Several questions. Let me go back here. Let's see here. Let's see where my window is. Yeah, here it is. All right, so that's I talked about my personal transition story from being a generalist to a specialist. That was my experience. Now let's go to. I want to go to Grok AI. You might have seen me use Grok several times. I want to ask Grok AI several questions on generalist versus specialist. So let me share my screen. Let me share my Grok screen here. Stop sharing that one and share my Grok. Okay, so I want to ask Grok. Several questions when it comes to AI. Okay, so you might be able to see that screen there. The first question I asked AI was provide examples of a generalist and a specialist. All right, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay, the first question I asked AI was provide examples of a generalist and a specialist. So let's see what it says right here. Let's see what it says here. Generalist, a family doctor who treats a wide range of medical conditions across all ages, handling everything from colds to chronic diseases, but referring complex cases to specialists. So these few words right here are key. Okay. Generalist, a family doctor who treats a wide range of medical conditions across all ages, handling everything from colds to chronic diseases, but referring complex cases to specialists. All right, so let's read over what a specialist is. Specialist, example, a cardiologist who focuses exclusively on heart-related conditions such as heart disease. What is this word here? Arrhythmias. I can't read. I'm not good at English. Or performing procedures like stent placements with deep expertise in that specific field. Okay, so that's kind of what we talked about in that first slide. Okay, so there's some examples of one generalist and one specialist. Okay, let me ask AI. For some more examples. Can you provide more examples of a generalist, and a specialist? Let's see what it says. Okay, so general contractor. Here we go. Generalist examples. General contractor oversees a wide range of construction tasks, managing projects like home renovations, coordinating plumbers, electricians, and carpenters, but may not specialize in any single trade. Okay, another example is the high school teacher. All right, small business owner, maybe a generalist, handles diverse tasks like marketing, accounting, customer service to keep the business running rather than focusing on one specific role. All right, so let's check some specialist examples. Neurosurgeon, a doctor with expertise in surgical procedures on the brain and nervous system, focusing on complex conditions like brain tumors or spinal cord injuries. We also have data scientist, machine learning, specializes in developing and fine-tuning machine learning models, focusing on algorithms and predictive analytics, unlike a general data analyst. Okay, so do we have general data? Okay. Tax attorney, a lawyer who concentrates solely on tax law, handling intricate cases like corporate tax disputes or international tax compliance. Okay, so there's some examples from both the generalist and the specialist. All right, what do you guys think about that? All right, so just looking at those three lists there, looking at those three examples there, who do you think has a higher salary? The general contractor, the high school teacher, the small business owner, compared to the neurosurgeon, data scientist, and the tax return. Which of those two do you think has a higher salary? Who do you think has the higher income out of those two? Out of this, or these guys, or these guys? Who earns more? Who earns more? Who do you think earns more? All right, let's ask AI who earns more. Let's ask the AI who earns more. Who earns a higher income? The generalist or the specialist? Before I press enter, who do you think has a higher income there? Before I press enter, who do you think has a higher income? Which one? Again, I think back to my days as a generalist. I was running 7 business ventures simultaneously, and I was broke. Okay, I was broke. I was working 30 hours a day, 8 days a week. I was broke. I was happy to break even. Working 30 hours a day, 8 days a week. I was happy to break even. Okay, so I'm never going back to being a generalist. I will specialize. I will continue to be a specialist. All right, let me drop. Let me see who. General contractor. So the general contractor is the generalist. Do you think? All right, let's see who what AI says. I asked AI on the bottom here. Who earns a higher income, the generalist or the specialist? Let's see what it says. Specialist. Let me highlight this so I can see it. Specialists typically earn a higher income than generalists due to their deep expertise in a specific, often highly technical or in-demand field. Specialists typically earn higher incomes than generalists due to their deep expertise in a specific, often highly technical or in-demand field. For example, in medicine, specialists like cardiologists or neurosurgeons earn significantly more than general practitioners, with U.S. data showing specialists earning between 10 to 12 million over a 30-year career, compared to 6.5 for primary care physicians. All right, so AI says in the healthcare field, the specialist earns more. Let's see what else it says here in the IT field. In other fields like IT or finance, specialists, example, C code developers or investment banking analysts with niche expertise often command higher salaries due to the scarcity of their skills and the complexity of their roles. For instance, a specialist in a technical field may start with a higher salary bracket and require less additional training, leading to a greater earning potential early on. All right, let's see what else it says down here. However, generalists can sometimes outpace specialists in job offers and long-term career flexibility, particularly in dynamic industries or leadership roles. Research from Harvard Business Review found that generalists, such as MBA graduates with broader experience, receive more job offers and, in some cases, higher signing bonuses, up to $48,000 more, than specialists in investment banking. Generalist versatility allows them to adapt across industries, potentially leading to high-earning leadership positions later in their careers, though their initial salaries may be lower. For example, generalists in smaller organizations or startups are valued for their ability to handle multiple roles, which can translate to significant career growth over time. All right, let's see what the conclusion says. Conclusion: specialists generally earn more upfront due to their niche expertise, especially in technical or medical fields. Generalists may have a lower starting salaries but can achieve comparable or higher earnings in the long run, particularly in leadership or cross-industry roles, depending on the industry and career path. Individual outcomes based on field expertise and market demand. Individuals' outcomes vary based on field experience and market demand. Okay. So my takeaway from this AI lookup is it could depend on the field. It can depend on the field. So that's my takeaway from this lookup here. Okay, so what I asked AI was, who earns a higher income, the generalist or the specialist? And it said it kind of depends. But the first sentence here says specialists typically earn higher incomes than generalists due to their deep expertise in a specific, often highly technical. Okay. And then they give the healthcare example. All right. So it kind of depends on how you're trying to position yourself, what field you're in, what level, what experience you have, what field you're in, and market conditions, market demand. Okay. My personal story, my experience with either business model, I've noticed that I earn way more being a specialist than I do as a generalist. All right, so what do you guys think about that? Are you guys a generalist or are you a specialist? I personally am happy being a specialist. Being a specialist has allowed me to buy back my time. I'm going to continue to be a specialist. Being a specialist has allowed me to achieve my financial goals, helped me to provide me a lot of flexibility, a lot of freedom. So in my personal case, I'm better off being a specialist. I'm better off being a specialist. Now, it may change for you. It may change for you, your personal, the situation you're in. But for me personally, it's better I be a specialist than a generalist. Let's see. Let's check some comments right here. Mr. O Universe says, yeah, when you specialize in a field, it will allow one to focus their goals, energy to that field. Yep, exactly. So what's your field? What's your focus, Mr. Universe, Mr. O Universe? What field are you in? Are you better off being a generalist or are you better off being a specialist? All right, so I saw a YouTube video that I wanted to share, and it got my attention today. So let me see if I want to share this video that I saw. You might have seen this lady on YouTube. I want to share my screen here, and let's talk about this video right here. Let me stop sharing that. Let me remove that, and let me share YouTube. Stop sharing that one. I want to discuss this video right here that I saw. You might have seen this lady on YouTube. All right, you might have seen this lady. Her name is her YouTube channel is called I Am Celeste Jonah. All right, let me see if I can share this video. Share the audio here.
I used to wear busy.
Let me know if you can hear this.
I was always doing something. There was always a checklist. There was always something that needed to get done. But what I realized is That wasn't healthy. And I remember waking up
Can you guys hear this?
even recently, not feeling anything, no joy, no motivation, full of procrastination, just feeling empty.
As a small business owner, ever wish you had
Let
more
me
time
skip
to
the
focus on growing your business?
commercial.
I, I just felt like I was trying to do too much with the smallest amount of time. Nobody tells you that when you decide to be an entrepreneur, but you're still working that 9 to 5, how little time you have. Nobody ever tells you that after you've done your 9 to 5, you come home and you work. Maybe you're doing social media, maybe you're doing consultations, maybe you're coaching, whatever you're doing, teaching. Nobody tells you about the burnout. You're burning, as I've heard before, you're burning the candle at both ends of the stick. I could see myself spiraling down. And this happened recently. For some reason, I just woke up and I didn't want to do anything but lay on the couch and honestly eat Oreo cookies, ice cream, and watch TV. But I knew I had to get back up. But I also had to admit to myself, finally, Slush, you're burned out. You're trying to do too much. You're trying to keep up. You need to stop and breathe. And that was difficult. I realized there was a mental exhaustion. It wasn't necessarily the physical, and the eating didn't make it any better, but it was my way of dealing with the emotions. One thing I know about myself, when something happens or I'm off kilter, I'm burned out, or I'm just sick of life, honestly, I eat badly, horribly.
All right, let's pause it right
Everything
there.
that's not.
All right, let's pause it right there. Let's pause it right there. All right, hopefully you could hear that video and see that video. All right, so she touched on several key things I want to talk about. I heard her say she was doing too much and too little time. Okay, I felt like that exactly, literally the last 20 years. Okay, the last 20 years, I felt exactly how she felt. I was doing way too much, and there's only 24 hours in every day. That was the first thing I took away from that video. I heard her mention several business ventures. I heard her mention social media. I heard her mention consultations, teaching, and coaching. All right, so these are all different business ventures that people may be involved in, right? And I also heard her mention exhaustion, and she was burnt out. All right, so I was in that exact situation for several years. Okay, I was in that exact situation for several years. I was trying to do way too much, and I realized there was only 24 hours in the day. Okay, how many of you can relate to that? How many of you were in that situation or are currently in that situation? You find there's only 24 hours a day. You're trying to work the day job. You're trying to do this, trying to do that, trying to do this, trying to do that, trying to do that. And you realize you're just breaking even. You realize you're mediocre at best at all 7 business ventures. Okay, can you relate to that? Is that you? Is that currently you? That was me for many years. That was me for many years. Okay, I did exactly what she was saying. I was trying to do way too much in too little. I realized there's too little time. There's not enough time for me to do all this stuff. Okay, I was a generalist. Okay, I was a generalist. All right. So that lady is an example of how I used to live. She says she's currently living like that, or she lived like that. I'm sure many of you are currently living that or have lived that life. The life of a generalist. Okay, the life of a generalist. All right, let's talk about some ways we can make transition. If you're interested in transitioning from a generalist to a specialist, let's talk about some key ways we can transition. Let's talk about some ways we can transition. Let me share my screen here. Okay, identifying the problem is one thing, but identifying solutions is something completely different, right? So let's talk about some solutions here. Let's talk about some solutions. All right, let me go to the next slide here. Let's talk about some takeaways. Okay, what are some ways we can transition from a generalist to becoming a specialist? All right. So here's the key one. The first takeaway I mentioned earlier: calculate the profit margin on all your business ventures. Okay, I've got a training on profit margin right on the same YouTube channel. Just to quickly recap, profit margin is a measure of profitability and efficiency. Okay, why do you want to pursue the venture that has the highest profitability and efficiency? It's pretty self-explanatory. We don't want to hustle hard. We've hustled hard enough, long enough. We want to hustle efficiently. Okay, we want to pursue the venture that provides the highest return for our time and effort. Okay, so calculating profit margin is simply revenue minus expenses divided by expenses multiplied by 100, and that metric is a percentage. Okay. Calculate the profit margin on all your business ventures. Calculate the profit margin on your day job, on your side hustle, on your business, on your real estate, on your options, whatever else venture you've got going on. Calculate the profit margin. Revenue minus expenses divided by revenue minus expenses divided by revenue. I misspoke a minute ago. Revenue minus expenses divided by revenue times 100. That percentage. Calculate the margin on all your business ventures. The one that has the highest percentage, maybe you go hard in that one venture, you drop everything else. Okay, so that's a key takeaway from today's meeting. That's one way to transition from being a generalist to a specialist. Okay, that's exactly what I did. All right, second takeaway: scale back to scale up. In other words, simplify to multiply. Simplify to multiply. Okay, second takeaway from today's meeting: if you want to transition from being a generalist to a specialist, simplify to multiply. Drop that in the chat, right? Somebody write that in the chat. Simplify to multiply. Simplify to multiply. Scale back to scale up. Scale back to scale up. Okay? Me personally, I dropped 6 business ventures. I focus on options. I kill that options market. As a result, I scale up. Okay? So I went from 7 business ventures to 1 business venture, and I kill that 1 business venture. So I scaled back from 7 to 1, and I scaled up. Does that make sense? Simplify to multiply. Simplify to multiply. Scale back to scale up. So that's the second takeaway from today's meeting. Okay. Scale back to scale up. Simplify to multiply. Okay. So if you're looking to transition to being a specialist, if you've got 7 business ventures going on, if you've got 12 business ventures going on, and you find that you're mediocre at best at all 7 or all 12, calculate the profit margin on all your business ventures. Revenue minus expenses divided by revenue, multiply by 100. Take that percentage, calculate that percentage on all 7 of your business ventures, all 12 of your business ventures. Go hard in the 1 business venture with the highest profit margin. Why? Because it's most profitable and most efficient. Okay, simplify to multiply. There you go. Simplify to multiply. Simplify to multiply. Okay, we worked hard enough, long enough. We worked 30 hours a day, 30 years straight. We're still broke. Okay, that's hustling backwards. Okay, we want to simplify to multiply. Okay, scale back to scale up. Okay, I don't speak because I watched a couple YouTube videos. I don't speak on this because I watched a couple TikTok videos. I speak on this because I live this. I live that exact thing, and I'm currently living that exact thing. Okay? I scaled back to scale up. I simplified to multiply. Does that make sense? Let's see. Mr. O Universe says, makes sense. I should focus more on in-school than after-school and weekend teaching. In-school pays more. Okay, if in-school pays more for you, Mr. O, go harder on the in-school. Why? Because it's more profitable and more efficient. Okay, I'm sure you're working hard enough, long enough, or you've worked hard enough, long enough already. Okay, focus on the business venture that gives you the best return for your time and effort. Okay, make sense? Okay, let me give you my 2 cents. But of course, you're not going to believe me just because I'm on YouTube. You're going to perform your own analysis and come to your own conclusions. Okay, let me give you my 2 cents. Actually, let me switch my screen here. All right. I consider myself a specialist in the options market. Okay. When I calculated the profit margin on all my business ventures, all my real estate, when I worked my day job, I had the day job. I calculate the profit margin on that. All my real estate, all my side hustle. I calculated the profit margin on all my business ventures. I realized me being a specialist in the options market provided a way higher profit margin than any other business venture. It wasn't even close. Okay, it wasn't even close. I scaled back everything else. I scaled up the options. Once I did that, I graduated. Real graduation. Okay, I graduated to becoming a specialist. I graduated to buying back my time. I graduated to living my 24 hours how I want to. Okay, real graduation. All right, that's my personal story. All right, so you may be different. You're not going to believe me because I'm on YouTube. You're going to perform your own analysis, calculate the profit margin on all your business ventures, cut out the ones that are not efficient, are not profitable, scale up the one that is. Okay, that's a good takeaway from today's meeting. Jen asks, how do I discover my specialty? Is there a quiz? ChatGPT. I have a lot of different skill sets. Okay, if you have a lot of different skill sets, identify your skill sets, monetize those skill sets, then calculate the profit margin on each of those ventures. You go hard in the one area, scale back everything else. All right. Even if you do, let's see here. How do I discover my specialty? What are you good at? Like what kind of skills do you have? How are ways that you monetize those skills? Okay, I'm good with numbers. Okay, so there's several ways I monetize my skills with numbers. Options being one of them, mathematics being one of them. So find your skills, identify your skills, identify ways to monetize those skills, then calculate your profit margin on those ventures, scale up in the right areas, scale back in the other areas. All right. Let's see here. Mr. O says, teaching art and design to this youth. Okay. Mr. O says, teaching art and design to the youth. Okay. Mr. O, calculate the profit margin on all of your business ventures. Go hard in the one area, cut out everything else. If you do that long enough, you'll be a specialist. Your income will be increased. You'll have more time. You won't feel burnt out. You won't feel stressed. You won't be overworked. You won't be overslept. I know if you're a teacher, you're already working very hard, very long hours. All right. Let me, just as a reminder, if you want to consult with me regarding any of your business ventures, if you want a second opinion, if you want someone to assist you with calculating profit margin, if you want somebody to assist you with the options, check me out on my website, Seemangal.com. You can set up consults with me. They do cost money, yes, but the return you get the value you get in return is more valuable than the expense you will incur. Okay, so if you want a second opinion, if you want to consult with me on which business venture is best for you, if you're interested in transitioning from being a specialist from being a generalist to a specialist, if you're interested in having more time, more income, more peace of mind, more health, that was my experience becoming a specialist. I'm happier, I'm healthier, and I have more income being a specialist than I did than being a generalist. So if you want to consult with me, check me out on my website. I do pay consults. If you need assistance with anything, if you want to consult with me for options, if you want to have a general business consult with me, check me out on my website. I do offer other offerings through the Black Business School. Check out theblackbusinessschool.com. I do have option classes through the Black Business School. Many of you know me through the options context. I believe I'm just as good in business as I am options. One more reminder. Let me share my screen here. Next month, at the end of August, in Atlanta, Georgia, I will be in Atlanta discussing stocks and options at the ABC. If you're interested in attending, check out this website right here, allblacknationalconference.com. Great networking, great information, great vibe, great people. You can meet me if you haven't met me, network with me. I'll be there. Again, I'll be discussing my area of specialty, which is the options market. All right. So check out the ABC in Atlanta, Georgia next month. All right. Great information, great people, great networking, great vibe. I'll be there. If we haven't met in person, I'll be there. We can meet in person. All right. So that's another reminder to anyone. I'll be in Atlanta next month at the ABC discussing options. Okay. Discussing options. All right. So there's a couple reminders. Any comments or questions, drop them in the chat. So today, just to recap, we discussed two business models, the generalist business model and the specialist business model. We talked about characteristics of each. I talked a little bit about my personal transition story from one model to another. We did a little AI lookups. AI said it really depends on your area, your field, your expertise, which model is better for you. We talked about profit margin. Profit margin is a very key metric in business. Okay, profit margin is probably the most important metric in business. Okay, it's a measure of profitability and efficiency. All right. So if you need help with profit margin, calculating profit margin, consider a consult with me, or just calculate yourself. Revenue, take the revenue on your business, subtract off the expense of your business, divide that by the revenue of your business, multiply that by 100, get that percentage. Okay? Calculate that for all your business ventures. All right? For me personally, when I did that, when I calculated the profit margin on all my ventures, I realized it wasn't even close. I need to concentrate on options. I need to scale back everything else. Why? Because options, according to my calculation, was the most profitable and the most efficient. Okay? I don't want to hustle hard no more. I don't want to work hard no more. I worked hard long enough, hard enough. I'm sure many of you have worked hard enough, long enough. Okay? No more hard work. Only profitable work, only efficient work. Okay? So consider calculating profit margin. All right, let's actually, before we wrap, I want to share my screen. This is how important profit margin is. Let me share my. Let's do a quick lookup on profit margin. All right, let's see what profit margin. Let's ask the AI. What is profit margin? So for anyone that's interested in becoming a specialist, consider using this metric to tell you which business venture is best for you. Profit margin is a financial metric. Let me make sure this is large enough for you to see. Profit margin is a financial metric that measures the percentage of revenue that remains as profit after accounting for all expenses. Here we go right here. It indicates how efficiently a business converts sales into profit. There are different types of profit margin. The most common are gross profit margin. Okay, you can check the formula there. Net profit margin, you can check the formula there. Okay, let's scroll down. Key points. Higher profit margins indicate better profitability and efficiency. Okay, no feelings, no emotions, no opinions. Only mathematics. Okay, no feelings, no emotions, no opinions. Only mathematics. Higher profit margin indicate better profitability and efficiency. Okay. Margins vary by industry. Okay. It's used to compare financial health across businesses or track performance over time. Okay. For context, specialists like a niche tech firm often have higher profit margins due to their premium pricing for expertise, while generalists like a general retailer may have lower margins due to broader competition. All right, so there you go. No, like I said, no feelings, no emotions, no opinions. Okay, profit margin. Higher profit margins indicate better profitability and efficiency. Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay, again, if you need assistance with calculating your profit margin on your businesses, get at me. Consider a consult with me. Exactly. Here you go. I see a very key comment in the let me highlight this comment right here. This is a very I'm sure many of you can relate. Too many things pulling me in different directions. How many of you can relate to that? My previous life, I was getting pulled in 30 different directions all 30 hours of the day, if not more often than that. Okay? Too many things pulling me in too many directions. Okay? That makes me think you're a generalist. Okay? I was a generalist. Same thing I was going through. Okay? Same thing I was going through. Okay, so what Mr. O, Universe, what you're going to do now, maybe tonight or tomorrow, calculate the profit margin on everything that's pulling you in every direction. Calculate the profit margin on all your ventures. If you have 10 ventures that are pulling you in 10 different directions, calculate the profit margin, figure out which one's most efficient and profitable, eliminate the other 9, go hard on the one. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I'm sure many of you can relate to this. I live this life. I lived this exact comment in my previous life. Day job, side hustle, real estate, options, business, trying to work out, trying to sleep 8 hours, trying to meal prep. That's 8 things right there. Okay. Trying to sleep, trying to study, trying to prepare content. That's what, how many, 9 things, 9 things in 24 hours. Okay. I can't do 9 things. I'm not a robot. I'm not AI. I'm just a man. Okay. I calculated the profit margin on everything. I realized selling options is by far the most efficient and profitable. I eliminated everything else. Okay. We want to work efficiently. We don't want to work hard. Mr. O, I'm sure you work hard already. I'm sure you work hard already. Make sense? Make sense? All right, y'all. Hope this was a value add. If this was a value add, all you have to do is give this a thumbs up on YouTube. Just give this a thumbs up on YouTube if this was a value add, okay? So just to recap today, for anyone that's interested in me transitioning or graduating from generalist to specialist, we kind of laid out the framework to do that. If this was a value add to you, drop a like on the YouTube channel. All right, y'all. Until next time, again, my name is Errol Seemangal. You can check me out on my website. You can email me directly if you want to set up a consult with me. If you're interested in transitioning, if you're interested in graduation, the real graduation, buying back your time, living your life on your terms, not HR's terms. If you're interested in living your life on your terms, not Mr. Charlie's terms. If you're interested in living your life on your terms, not the way your neighbor wants you to live, you should be living your life on your terms, right? You should be living your life on your terms, okay? That shouldn't be radical. That shouldn't be extreme, right? I live my life on my terms, okay? I'm not living my life according to HR. I'm not living my life according to Mr. Charlie, how Mr. Charlie wants me. I'm not living my life according to how my cousin wants me to live my life. Let him live his life how he wants. I'm going to live my life the way I want. If that's threatening, if that's threatening, if that's extreme, if that's non-compliant, so be it. I'm going to live my life on my terms, okay? If you want to do the same, consider a consult with me at errolseemangal.com. Until next time, keep doing your thing. Keep getting what you deserve. I'm out. Peace.